Welcome to Reconnect, the podcast dedicated to sharing and defending the good news of Jesus Christ. That is, Jesus died for sins, was buried, and on the third day was raised again, according to the Scriptures, for our salvation. It is through Jesus alone that we are reconnected into a right relationship with God. Reconnect us, O Lord. All right, 'tis the season. It's Christmas time. I got George with me again.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Yeah, it was a good extended break from work and good holiday, good time to kick off the season.
Good.
How was yours?
Mine was pretty good. We went to Big Bear, which is only a couple hours from where we live, but there was snow, a little bit of snow in Southern California up there in the mountains.
Nice.
So it was good. So my baby daughter got to see some snow for the first time coming down.
How'd you like it?
She just seemed really cold. Wanted to go back inside, I think.
Yeah.
So probably give it a few more months and then it'll be better. But yeah, for this episode, I wanted to go ahead and shift gears into Christmas because if we release it when I think I will release this, you should still have a couple weeks before Christmas. And so since the podcast is dedicated to sharing the gospel, we're going to be looking at how can we take advantage of this Christmas season. I know it's called a season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know the church has Advent, which not every church has Advent, but that would be a Christmas season in the church. But I know all the secular songs talk about, it's that time of year, and I've already started to see it, like even before Thanksgiving, I was hearing Christmas music at places and seeing Christmas decorations up, and it was pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah,
even
it feels
before
like it
Thanksgiving.
moves up like 1 week every single year.
Yeah.
Like before too long, like it's going to be right from summer to Christmas.
Yeah.
Which may not be a bad thing.
Which I think is pretty funny too, because in my household, it's always Christmas if you go on music.
Mm-hmm.
Because my wife likes Christmas music. It's like the one type of music we can agree upon.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole year, sometimes it's like, well, I guess we're going to put on the Christmas playlist.
And so when is that? Is there like an official date? Is it day after Thanksgiving?
No, I'm telling you the whole year. Like, it could be like January, March, and there's the Christmas playlist because that's literally the only music we really agree upon.
Okay.
And so, I don't know, the whole year, I guess, is like a Christmas season for me.
Yeah, it's interesting to me with the Christmas season, like how, because I think traditionally people would say like, oh, you can't celebrate Christmas start celebrating the Christmas season until after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Thanksgiving is always kind of fluctuates, where exactly does it fall? So you could end up with a few more days of the Christmas season or a few less, just depending on where the Thursday falls in November.
Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes you feel like you're really getting anxious, like, oh man, if I don't start celebrating Christmas a little bit before Thanksgiving, then I'm not going to have enough time after. I'm definitely more on the side of I love the Christmas season. And
yeah.
I don't mind starting it a little bit, into November.
Me too. And so since Christmas does have Christ in the name, hopefully we as Christians can benefit from what we celebrate with the Christmas holiday.
Right.
And use that as a springboard to share the gospel in some way.
Right.
So George and I are just going to kick around ideas this show. We had 4 topics to look at. One's just how can you share the gospel, take advantage of the Christmas season. And the second one then is what about movies and music? These are always something special. Do any certain movies or music really work well to just play with people you're friends with or family members that can be used to somehow make a connection to the gospel message? And then after that, we'll maybe take a break, depending on how long that is, and then we'll move into the Starbucks Christmas cup, controversy, that they remove Christmas from their cups altogether.
Yeah. There's definitely a controversy somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's probably no controversy besides something made up. But and then we'll wrap with just Christmas traditions, and if we personally have learned from these traditions and if these traditions are useful for teaching the Christian faith. So dig in. George, what about sharing the gospel? Using like the Christmas season somehow. Do you have any ideas on that?
I've got some ideas for how not to share the gospel. Like, don't tell your barista your name is Happy Birthday Jesus, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. this was always kind of a tricky, we were talking a little bit before we started recording here of, this kind of gets to a theme that we talked about on another show, of how our conversations can lend themselves to presenting the gospel, and like at what point in your relationship with somebody or in the point of a conversation is it the right time or the most appropriate or the best way to start talking about the gospel. And so I think like the season of Christmas really provides us a lot of opportunities just to, for lack of a better phrase, not be a Grinch. And I think that we can do this. Like it seems like there's so many opportunities and ways in which we can take advantage of giving to other people, being generous, going out of our way to maybe, make a donation or lend somebody some help that needs some at this time of year. And so I think like opportunities like that where you can go out of your way in like the hustle and bustle of the season to do something really meaningful for somebody, whether that's financially or just with your time. And that using that like as a springboard of, hey, like the reason I'm doing this at this time of year is because I think there's something really special to celebrate here.
Gotcha.
And so using that as like a way to get into the narrative of what are we celebrating? Yeah,
that's really good. I like how you eventually move that into getting into the narrative, because as you were talking, I just remembered I recently saw a Lutheran pastor post something on Facebook, which was an image that said something to the effect of the best way to evangelize is tell someone you're a Christian and then just not be a jerk. And someone jumped in there and was like, technically that's not evangelism.
Yeah, definitely not.
Because you have to share the gospel and just not being a jerk. There can be a lot of people that are not jerks, but they're still sinners. And
I know a lot of people
Christ.
of a lot of religions who I would not qualify as jerks.
Yeah, so as you were talking, I was thinking about that, but maybe that's like we were saying, just taking advantage of these opportunities to be extra generous. Maybe something will open up then to be able to, why are you doing this now? Or what prompted this? And that can lead to sharing the message of Christ and how from the gifts we receive from him. So that's really good.
Yeah, it's this idea of, this is, we as Christians believe that this holiday is something sacred. It's more than Christmas trees and sweaters and putting lights on your house, and all those things are great and fun. And I love the traditions that go along with it and the spirit of this time of year. But as Christians, we do hold that this is something still more sacred, and that the story starts here with God's own Son coming to earth in the form of a baby. And how that can, why did that happen? And what is the message of salvation there?
So is there anything in particular you've done in the past, like what you're talking about now? Any special sort of act that you ordinarily wouldn't have done in this, like your day-to-day, but because of Christmas, you go out of the way and people recognize it in some way? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, I know one of the, and this kind of maybe gets at another question that we're going to get on later in the show, but one of the traditions that I really liked growing up, and I don't know if this is a national thing or if it's, I assume it's nationwide, was what was called Operation Christmas Child. Your teacher, is that still something that people are doing here?
Yeah, we've done it here at our high school, and I've seen it at the church I go to right now.
Yeah. So I just loved the idea of that and the act of, this is a time of year where, you're thinking, okay, what am I going to get my wife, or what am I going to get my parents, or what am I going to get, my neighbor or my colleagues? And so this idea of like, I'm trying to get all these gifts for other people that I know, but then taking, a step back and the act of, well, I'm going to also spend my money on people that I've never met and probably will never meet in my life, but still send them something that can, be of some amount of joy to them.
Yeah.
And with that, like again, getting back to like, well, why did you do this? Like, why did you take your money and fill up a shoebox with, these toys or whatever you're going to put inside of them?
Yeah.
And it's because like, again, we're reminding ourselves of like the sacredness of this holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was always something like as a kid we would do every single year. And now looking back on it, like really stands out to me as like, well, that's a cool tradition. I'm glad that it's, something that's still going on.
Yeah.
How about you?
I haven't really done anything extra special because of this. I know growing up, my mom always baked cookies for the neighbors. And because it was cold outside, it was delegated to me to be the one to deliver them. So I was always the one representing the family, running around delivering these cookies and knocking on people's doors and saying, "Hey, Merry Christmas." Never really got any gospel presentations from that. I think people definitely knew we were Christian on the block, though, because they knew we always went to church Sunday mornings. I mean, it's kind of obvious if you dress up a little bit more than normal and always leave the same time on Sunday. People can usually connect the dots, but I believe people knew anyways, just from conversations. So maybe it had something, and it's not necessarily sharing the gospel. Something I found when I was a student at Concordia Irvine, because we had the International Student Bible Study that I talked about a few episodes ago. The leader of that, Keiko, she always made a really big deal about throwing Christmas parties. But because the group's parties were always still education themed, because they were here to learn English and stuff, there was always a component, and they knew about it up front in the flyers she would hand out. So it wasn't like we were tricking anyone, but learn about the meaning of Christmas, learn about what symbols mean and things like that. And she was really big on just sharing how all the imagery, the Christmas tree, the lights on the tree, the gifts, the stars, the angels, the bows, the candy canes. She would take all these things and connect it back to the story of Christ. And it was interesting when I was living in China, I had an opportunity to be on a TV show, which was aired in a city of 7 million people. I have no idea how many people watched it. It was a short English show, about 5 minutes long. Never once saw it myself because I never watched Chinese television, and I never cared enough to look it up to see myself on the air. But they wanted me to do a Christmas episode. And I pulled out pictures, and I held up Christmas trees. And I held up, Jesus on the cross and eternal life. And I held up the little gifts of the Magi and the gifts that we give. I held up the star that was Christ's star, and I held up the star on top of the tree, and I just tied it all together for these pictures, holding it up. And I'm sure the people were just like, what the heck? But what do you want me to do, And you strong-armed me into this position anyways with the contract I'd been given. So I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I don't know how many people in China got to hear the gospel message just by me doing that sort of presentation. But
I think we need to see if we can find that video somewhere on the internet.
Funny,
Check it up.
There's another video that when I started teaching at a college there was a local student channel there, and that's a college of like 20,000 people. I have no idea how often these things were run or how it worked, but they did 30-minute episodes periodically, and they used the foreign English teachers for it. And they wanted one for Christmas on that one too. And I did the same thing, and we actually sat in my home with the Christmas tree. And she knew no idea what this was going to be about. She just goes, "Yeah, I'm going to sit in your room and ask you about Christmas." And they got it all. And we even invited them to a Christmas party that our church had. So we had these non-Christians coming to our Christmas party, which was a church party.
Nice.
So it was kind of cool opportunity, I think, that emerged just from the foreignness of it, and that they really were into Christmas.
Yeah, I think there a lot of people might find themselves in this situation where at Christmas time, at the holidays, they're getting together with family that maybe isn't Christian. Maybe they belong to another religion. Maybe they're atheists. Maybe they would call themselves Christian, but Christmas is the only time of the year that they go to church. Christmas and Easter type of folks, and so I think I personally am not in that, don't find myself in that group. The family that I spend, immediate family that I spend holidays with are all Christian and go to church and that sort of thing. But I imagine for a lot of people, there is this opportunity of, hey, why don't you come with us to church and hear the message? And hopefully they're going to a church where the pastor's preaching, the gospel of why are we celebrating this? And so I think there could be a lot of opportunities there, after church, at dinner, driving home, sitting around during the day at the holidays. And, really being able to give a reason for what you believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you find yourself in that position at all, or if the family that you spend Christmas with or holidays with are all, Bible-believing Christians. Or...
Yeah, I mean, I find myself in that position now. Not growing up, I didn't, but now we've moved that direction. The family members which are not Christian, though, I'm not with them on like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. But I think that's a really great idea, a really good opportunity. With the local family members that are Christian, maybe they don't always attend church regularly, but I think it's still good just to be like, hey, we're going here, and this is what we want the holiday to be about, at least to set that tone. Yeah, and something I was seeing recently just in terms of inviting people, I was reading something saying invite Muslims for like holidays within the church that they may be interested in actually coming.
Interesting.
Like Thanksgiving or Christmas, because Jesus was at least a prophet,
right? And
he was still born of Mary, and still, it was still a virgin birth. I mean, all this is in the Quran, so it's kind of like, hey, come, and they want us to become Muslim as much as we want them to become Christian. So just the invite, they may be looking at as an opportunity just to maybe connect with us, to pull us more into the Islamic faith.
Yeah.
So I may have to give that a shot.
It seems like Christmas is kind of a unique one in that, regardless of what, I'm thinking mostly of people who would say that they don't belong to any particular religion, still find themselves like in this Christmas season of, I like to celebrate Christmas. I like to get together with my family. I like all the traditions that go along with it. Yeah. Whereas, other holidays or seasons in the Christian church year don't necessarily match up to, what the quote unquote secular world would be celebrating or aligning with. And so it seems like there is this kind of opportunity, a little bit more of an opportunity at Christmas time to say, hey, well, why don't you come see like why it is that we celebrate this? Like this, this season has its we as Christians attach ourselves or celebrate Christmas for this reason. Why don't you come and check it out? And I don't know, maybe it's not something that I can speak to from experience, but kind of the point that you were getting at with maybe inviting a Muslim who would otherwise not ever think of coming into a Christian church. Yeah.
People are open, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on their calendar. They got the day off.
Or even just like I could sing songs that I know. Like I hear these songs on the radio. I know them. They're not so foreign to me that I've never.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
and that was interesting too because I noticed in China, the Christian church, the Chinese Christian church, would make a big deal for Christmas. They would actually put Christmas lights up. They would put stockings and trees. They put the things that people knew of the secular, and they would just invite people. And again, it was songs. In Chinese culture, they love to sing if they know the songs or not. And when I went there once, I met a Christian who just at a restaurant, and I found out they were Christian, and I asked, hey, what do you do for church for Christmas Eve? This is my first year there. I wasn't even able to attend a church because of my work schedule, but I knew I'd make it to a Christmas Eve service, so she told me where this church was. I went there. It was fascinating because the people in front of me, beside me, behind me, there was a good bit of people like that I could put a hand on, just talking to them. At least 3 of them near me, it was their first time in a church. And they were there because it was, quote, Christmas. Wow. So it's just a really big opportunity. Other one there of Christmas, too. Maybe this works more in, like, this foreign setting if you ever find yourself there. But what I experienced in China, people would put all sorts of Christmas decorations up in their restaurants and their shops because it's this consumerism thing. Although they didn't really know what Christmas was. But if you're Western, I guess you're hip or cool or something. Maybe you can draw more people in. I never fully got it. But my first year there, I went in on Christmas Day to this restaurant where I visited every single day, and I told the guy Merry Christmas in Chinese, and he was completely confused. I'm like, am I saying it wrong? And come to find out, I pointed out, I'm like, hey, it's Christmas. He goes, oh, is today Christmas? I go, yeah, today is Christmas. So even though he had all this Christmas stuff up in the store, he didn't actually know that day was Christmas. So it's funny, the next year, having this in mind, I was more prepared. I had gifts for all these different shop owners that I would regularly visit and different people. And I printed, and again, these are people that they don't speak English and I don't speak Chinese well enough. So to communicate was very difficult. But I printed off the gospel message for Christmas time from the Chinese Bible, and then I took a picture of the nativity scene and I put it all on like a front and back sheet of paper. And I went to all of them on Christmas and gave them a gift and gave them that paper.
Yeah.
So it was kind of and it was interesting after doing that the second year, the third year there, that guy actually remembered what day Christmas was. He told my wife and I at that point, hey, I have a special Christmas whatever party thing happening at our restaurant. And really it was just, I'm going to do something extra.
Right.
And it was really, I think, just for us. So I thought it was
Nice.
kind of interesting just to see the flow between those 2 years leading up to the third year there.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Other ideas, I guess, for sharing the gospel I had was just simply like on Facebook, post some songs. And one I thought of, there's a band called Bad Religion that made a Christmas album. And if anyone knows this band, they're definitely atheist. But they made a Christmas album. And they did all Christian songs on it besides one of the songs. So you got like O Come, Emmanuel by a punk rock band. You got What Child Is This? Punk rock. And so it's kind of interesting if you just put that on your Facebook page, Bad Religion,
Yeah.
O Come, Emmanuel. People that, you may have people listening to it or clicking on it just because it's like, it seems, it's a very interesting juxtaposition seeing Bad Religion right next to this. And if people know the band, they're definitely going to click. If people don't know the band, they may just be curious, like, what?
Right.
And then they end up listening to a great hymn that tells of the incarnation of Christ.
Do you know any backstory on that album, like why they chose to do that? Or
Okay, so this is the bad thing. The notes inside it say that like every dollar, or from every CD sold, $1 goes to some organization that helps people that were, let's say, mistreated by Roman Catholic priests. So it's kind of, in a way, also a heavy-handed sort of slap, having mostly but, you know, just listening to the songs themselves, it's the same lyrics. This guy's singing it, and I personally really like the album. I think it's the best. Like, when I hear, like, O Come, Emmanuel, to me, we always sing it like a dirge.
right.
But to me, it's like, the way they sing it, it's more like, this is a war cry.
Yeah.
And, like, we're going forth.
Yeah.
And this is going to happen. And to me, it just seems like it's more of a powerful, uplifting type.
Yeah,
sound.
there's a sense of longing and expectation in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So posting to Facebook something maybe a little bit thought-provoking or curious, or something that people may not expect to see, but gets at that same message. Yeah, I like that.
So I was going to use that one to spring into songs and movies.
Okay.
Any thought? Just anything stand out to you that would be good?
So I think the question you had asked me originally was, are there any particular Christmas movies that you think do a good job of sharing the gospel message? And I was kind of scratching my head, and, you know, there's tons of Christmas movies, tons of movies that use Christmas as the backdrop, like Home Alone, whatever they may be. And then I was thinking, like, well, are there really any that get at the gospel message? And I think my answer to that is no, not really. And then just last night, I came downstairs and my wife had on the TV a Charlie Brown Christmas. And I just like happened to be walking downstairs, and I was going to make some coffee, and like I could just overhear just the part of the movie where Charlie Brown's getting all upset and he shouts out, "Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?" And Linus Van Pelt gets up and says, "Sure, Charlie Brown, I can tell you what Christmas was all about." And then he just starts reciting Luke 2. And they were in the same country, shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And he goes on and he reads the whole narrative. And then he says, "That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown." I just thought, like, you nailed it. That's exactly it. And so, but that is the one example that I could come up with.
That's really good. And it's funny, too, because thinking of that one, it just hit me. We got a nativity scene at our house, which is a Peanuts nativity set. So it's all the characters dressed up as they are in that cartoon. And just put that out there. So I mean, if people like that cartoon, they like the music, and you just have this front and center, like in our house when people come in, they get to see it. I guess another one came to mind, thinking of the people seeing this. We held Christmas parties at my house for 2 or 3 years in a row. And we would always have 50, 60 people show up in our small house. And some of them weren't Christians. And we would always have a time where we would do a quiz game, like a trivia game. And I got it from like a bar that does this. I don't know if you've ever been to a bar which does like trivia night.
Okay, yeah.
So you got team answers, right? And like maybe, the team may get 3 or 4 questions. And to make it interesting, you put different value points beside your answer. Like, so obviously you'll put more on the one that you're more certain of.
Right.
But because it's a Christmas trivia, like I would throw in Jesus trivia with like the Christmas narrative from Scripture. And that's always good, right? Because you get people that maybe don't know these messages, don't know these stories, but someone in the group is a Christian and knows this stuff. And they kind of become the authority or the voice to listen to on this question. And and again, it just lets people know, like, this is a party, we're going over this, but like, and we would do things like if you lose, you have to go out in the streets and sing, like a Christmas song. Yeah. And so it's like people had some stakes. So I don't know. I always thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, there's a book called The Gospel According to Hollywood. It's by a guy named Greg Garrett. I don't know if you've ever read it, but I was kind of just looking back at part of it in preparation for this, and he talks about Christmas movies in particular in one section of the book, and just a few of the quotes that stood out to me about that. I'll just kind of read them here, starting with, perhaps the reason we're so drawn to Christmas films year after year is that consciously or unconsciously, we understand that they are stories about salvation. So you can think of, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, or It's a Wonderful Life. And while they may not be stories strictly of salvation in the sense that we would think of about, life after death or whatever, that you can see like how this character gets redeemed from where he is at the beginning of the movie to the end of it. He goes on in this section of his book, and he argues that the faith and belief we're going to find in these Christmas movies is not distinctly Christian. But it does show us countercultural generosity, the power of radical belief, and the way community or fellowship can form around that belief.
Wow.
And I think that was a really profound point that, they're not necessarily getting at, and this is as literally as Charlie Brown or Linus was, this is what Christmas is all about, but to at least like open the viewer's mind to those things, to the countercultural generosity, power of radical belief, the way community or fellowship can form around that belief.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I thought that was a really insightful point of there's still a great benefit or great lesson we can take from these movies, or they still can impact us in a very meaningful way and impact others who are watching these movies about like, there is something about this time of year. And even if it just, sparks a little bit of a question. Yeah. And I'll just conclude here with this last point from the book, that to believe in Santa is to believe in the Christmas spirit, giving, celebration, love, but is also to have a willingness to accept things you can't see, things that don't make logical sense in the everyday, things that call us to more and better. And so, I'd maybe take exception to, drawing that parallel between Jesus and Santa Claus are obviously it's not the parallel that we as Christians want to put forward, but just that idea of if it can open our mind, if it can open our hearts to seeing that there is something special about this time of year, and the message that points to for us as Christians.
Yeah. And those 2 movies you named are very, very bleak and depressing for the bulk of the movie.
Totally.
So when that redemption comes at the very, very end,
it's sweet.
Yeah, it's like a nice release, and then the movie's over. Yeah. Like the release is the end. Yeah. So that's really cool. I haven't really thought of that before. and just the timing of it. Like if you're watching these movies on Christmas Eve in the day, early like afternoon, and then like as it's over, it's like, okay, we're going to church tonight, and you want to come, and people that ordinarily wouldn't come, just even having that movie with it could definitely spark more interest. Yeah, that's really good. All right, we'll take a break here. If you have ideas to share on what we're talking about, please send them to andy@contradictmovement.org, or you can post them on the blog post for this episode at andyrasman.com, which my last name's WRASMAN. Or I have a Facebook page, which is called Contradict. They Can't All Be True. It's kind of a community page, part of this podcast. You can always post your ideas there as well. All right, look forward to getting feedback from you, and we'll move in after the break to think about, the more on Christmas.
Hey, my name is Joel Esch. I'm the editor of Fishing for Leviathan, a weblog committed to the ongoing conversation between technology and theology. While I'm neither a full-blooded Luddite nor a Kool-Aid drinking technophile, I do have a substantial interest in the ways that digital texts and classic embodied theology work together, and sometimes fight to the teeth, continually shaping the culture around us. The website is www.fishingforleviathan.com. You can also track our Facebook page, which collates some of the more interesting articles on digital technology as intellectually satisfying content for your own conversations at home, school, and or your parish. Our Facebook page is www.facebook.com/fishingforleviathan. Offer your own voice in this ongoing conversation. Be a part of a growing community that keeps its eyes up toward each other and not down toward a screen. We look forward to hearing from you at fishingforleviathan.com.
To financially support Reconnect, visit contradictmovement.org and order your copy of Contradict, They Can't All Be True. Contradict stickers and tracks are also available. Again, that's contradictmovement.org.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that commercial I just ran. If you've noticed, I only typically have 3 commercials that I run. I just added a 4th commercial. So if you happen to, have some ministry or something like this that you want to advertise, feel free to send them to me. Just send an MP3 file. If I like what you're doing, I would be fine to throw it in. I like to just throw these in periodically because if you notice, I usually have one of the commercials, and then at the end of it, I have like a 15-second buy my book. So that's part of what this show is expanding upon and hoping to spread the Contradict book message further than what I can do just by throwing it on Amazon and letting it sit there to rot in, the obscurity of the internet. So you got to put stuff out there for people to find your stuff. So that's part of what this show is. But there's so much we can talk about for how Christ is Lord, how Christ stands apart from all things in the world, and how he calls Christians out of the world. And Christmas time is obviously a great time to remember this. And so if this idea of the church and the world, it always seems to come to a front sometimes at Christmas time because there's this idea that there is a war on Christmas. So the secular world is trying to remove any reference of Christ at Christmas time, remove any reference to Christianity at this time. It's a holiday, also maybe call it a holy day. And it's a holy because it's about the incarnation of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And many people do not want to recognize that. They think that even mentioning the name Christ, mentioning the name Christmas in some way could offend someone who's not actually a Christian. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this. What type of things have you usually seen, George, to avoid this mentioning of Christmas at this time of year?
Well, you have to say Happy Holidays.
Oh, yes.
Instead of Merry Christmas.
Plural.
Yeah, because you have to be all inclusive.
I can be okay with that because you got New Year's and Christmas. And so I'm wishing someone a plurality of happy holidays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have no problem with saying happy holidays.
Okay.
It's not something that I...
What do you say yourself? If someone says, like, happy holiday to you, do you say Merry Christmas back?
If they say happy holidays to me, I will probably say happy holidays back to them just because I don't want to come across as like being corrective, because I think that just, I don't know, it seems, at that point it's almost like, oh no, it's Merry Christmas. Like I'm correcting you at that point. I don't know, it's just awkward and like offensive. Like there's nothing wrong with saying happy holidays. So I can tell the person, I can tell the checker at the grocery store, happy holidays. Like, and be sincere about it.
What if you say, happy holidays, what are you doing for Christmas? What about that one?
Yeah, that's fine. I think that I just hate the idea of like we have to go so far out of our way, like, oh, to keep Christ in Christmas. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Like, if people don't want to celebrate, if it's not their inclination, if it's not their tradition to celebrate Christmas, that's fine. Like they can celebrate the season, and by being so offensive and being so like, oh no, I have to go out of my way to correct you. Everything we were talking about at the first part of the show of like, how can we open these doors to talk to people? It just seems like we're putting up such a guard. Like, oh yeah, of course you would correct me for saying happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So there was one recently, know you saw it, something with Starbucks. Are you a regular Starbucks visitor? Is that something you do, or?
Not regularly and not proudly, but it is a convenience thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I typically only go there if I'm traveling, and if my wife wants to stop there.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I might as well get something.
Yeah.
Right. It's not typically where I go. I would go to Pete's before I would go to Starbucks. I actually prefer a place called 85 Degrees. It's a Taiwanese chain. It now has a few places in America. So that's kind of where I would like to go. I think 85 is a lot cheaper. I think it tastes better. And yeah, that's my plug for 85. But yeah, so this video came out in response to this year's Christmas cups. And to be honest, I've never paid attention to Starbucks Christmas cups, but I guess every year they changed their typical cup to something Christmas themed.
Yeah, it's like that's familiar? How. Yeah, that's what signifies that in the Christmas music. It's like, oh, it's Christmas time. Red cups,
and they probably got like gingerbread lattes, right?
Oh yeah, something. Yeah, the peppermint mochas and the chestnut praline. Yeah,
and I know there's a Christmas blend coffee as well that they have.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I know. Yeah, so I mean, I don't. Is that brewed all the time during Christmas season?
Oh, all the time during Christmas season. Yeah.
Okay, so that's always an option at the store I can get
during Christmas time.
Okay, but it's not really on their menu, right? It's just kind of like.
Well, it's just with their like they have like Pike Place or whatever it's called. It's like their dark roast.
So it's one of their options. Yeah. So I know about it because I've had people give me this as a gift, or I've seen the bags at stores that you can buy yourself. So I didn't know if that was something they always had brewed during this time. So that's pretty cool. To me, that's them keeping Christmas in. They actually have a blend that says Christmas on it.
Right.
And I was just at a Starbucks. We were trying to get some away time. Thanksgiving, my in-laws kept our daughter. My wife and I went out for breakfast before my brother-in-laws and their wives woke up. So we were like, obviously, we're up a lot earlier because of the baby. We're going to get some downtime to get out. And so we went to Starbucks. That was the best place we could think of, open. And, you know, knowing this controversy that they're trying to strip Christmas away, I was just looking around like, sure looks like Christmas in this store right now. And they had the big, huge stacks of Christmas blend coffees and like different things. But anyway, so I guess this year their cup is just a red cup.
Just a red cup.
Just a red cup.
Oh, it's a two-tone red cup, though.
And so when this first came out, a Christian named Joshua, I can't pronounce this last name. What do you think that is?
Feuerstein or something?
Feuerstein. Yeah. I've seen him before. So I know he must be a regular YouTube guy. And I've seen him enough that I think his stuff has gone viral a couple times. So this one definitely, I think, went viral. So I'm going to play it now. So we can hear about it, and then you and I guess, can talk about this and just see, do you think this is helpful for sharing and defending the good news of Jesus Christ? So here's Joshua. Hopefully this is loud enough.
You know, I think in the age of political correctness, we become so open-minded, our brains have literally fallen out of our head. Do you realize that Starbucks wanted to take Christ and Christmas off of their brand new cups? That's why they're just plain red. In fact, do you realize that Starbucks isn't allowed to say Merry Christmas to customers? Well, I decided, instead of simply boycotting, well, why don't we just start a movement? So when I went in and I asked for my coffee, they asked for my name, and I told them my name is Merry Christmas. So guess what? Starbucks, I tricked you into putting Merry Christmas on your cup. And I'm challenging all great Americans and Christians around this great nation, go into Starbucks and take your own coffee selfie. And then I challenge you to not only share this video so that the word gets out, but let's start a movement. And let's call it, I don't know, hashtag Merry Christmas Starbucks. And I know that by sharing this video and getting other Christians to do it, well, I guarantee that we can make this go around the world. And Starbucks, guess what? Just to offend you, I made sure to wear my Jesus Christ shirt into your store, and since you hate the Second Amendment, I even carried my gun. Yikes. Anyways, guys, please take a moment. Choose to not be politically correct. Just correct. Share the video, like, comment below. I want to know your thoughts. God bless. Have a really, really beautiful day.
All right, so that's the video that got a lot of attention, I believe. I saw
millions and millions of views.
And a lot of memes were created from this, just showing, all sorts of different things about how Starbucks, I guess, hates Christmas. But I saw a lot of memes in response by Christians saying how they don't care at all about this issue. So what were your thoughts when you first had you seen this video before I'd shared it with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to filter what my thoughts were for the sake of this podcast. But they were essentially, this is stupid. Really, dude. Why? Josh, come on. This is the name you want to give to Christians at this time of year. This is the stance you want to take. And I mean, there's a part of me that just hopes that he's just doing this for the sake of attention and to generate millions of views and to generate controversy, and that this isn't really how he feels. But for the uproar that this has caused is just, it's silly. Like that was my initial reaction. It was just, why? First of all, they didn't remove Christmas from their cups. Like, it wasn't as if they had taken like this sharp turn into, before they had Merry Christmas all over their cups, and now they don't. That was never the case. It was always, something generically Christmas, a snowflake, a candy cane, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I in no way believe that Starbucks was trying to make this war on Christmas or statement against Christians. I think that they have a product, and they have an aesthetic and a brand around their audience and the cups of coffee that they know have come to symbolize this time of year for their brand. And in no way do I think that this is a clear sign that Starbucks hates Jesus, as Joshua is claiming. I just, bottom line, I think it's silly.
Yeah, so, like I said, not being the big Starbucks guy, I was like, did they normally have Merry Christmas? Right. And I saw someone went through and they put all these different cups from like the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And it was all, like you said, these generic things. There's a snowflake, there's a reindeer, and like, the question then is, does any of that have anything to do with the Christian understanding of Christmas?
No, of course not.
Like, was it, like, I don't even know. I should probably know more geography than this and about climate and stuff. I don't know how much snow Israel even gets. Does Jerusalem get a lot of snow in December? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, I mean, it's like, is Jesus seeing snow? I don't know. Was it snowing on the day he was born? Was that even make a difference for the gospel? So if you remove this stuff, what have you really done?
Yeah, one of the VPs at Focus on the Family was quoted in this article. Might have been the one that you shared with me and that you probably will post on the show notes for this, but he had a quote that he said, "I wonder if we're not overthinking or overanalyzing this," to which I would say, yeah, I think we are quite a bit. But he goes on to say, "Christmas isn't found in a cup or in a snowflake. Instead, it's found in the hearts and minds of those of us who believe that God sent his only son to earth in the form of an innocent, helpless baby."
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not Starbucks' job to tell the Christmas story. It's not. I have absolutely no problem with whatever they decide to put on their cups at Christmas time. If it's a reindeer or Santa Claus, they have a business, and they can do with their products what they like. And I'm not going to take offense if they don't give Christmas and Christianity its full due and its full place on their products. It's not their job.
And going to that, like, how many companies actually change their cup near Christmas anyways?
Yeah, I mean, I don't go into a restaurant and expect them to have, a special menu, or I don't expect that, malls are going to have a nativity scene set up right next to Santa Claus. Like, it's silly.
It's like they're pointing more people to Christmas just by making this shift, because I saw someone with a Chick-fil-A cup today. Mm-hmm. It had nothing different on it. It was a normal Chick-fil-A cup.
And how offended were you, Andy?
Oh, yeah. I was like, why isn't Chick-fil-A rocking Jesus right now? They're trying to save money by not making a new cup and making a new one every year. I don't understand this. But yeah, what you just brought up is why I wanted to talk about this in the service, because like people saying Merry Christmas, that's not the gospel. And if that's what we're concerned about, like, I don't need to make a certain store worker have to say this. It's not their job to share the gospel because I'm buying something at their store. So I love those quotes you found in that point.
There's a lot of, it's almost, this video, it's almost like it's not even worth talking about, but since this is a podcast, that's what we'll do. But it's like, we just need to address that there's a lot of just factual inaccuracies in that video. Like, there's in no way is Starbucks has been very clear, like, this is not, in fact, their official statement was, I'll just quote it here. "This year we wanted to usher in the holidays with a purity of design that welcomes all of our stories. Starbucks has become a place of sanctuary during the holidays," which I thought was a really interesting quote.
Interesting.
"We're embracing the simplicity and the quietness of it. It's a more open way to usher in the holiday." And you know what? If that's what they want to do, great. Why? Because they are not a Christian organization. They make no claims to be. They have no agenda to proselytize, like to share the gospel. Mm-hmm. And so where in the world do I get the right to have this expectation of them?
Yeah. Now, what about, from my understanding, the CEO or whoever the high-ranking people are at Starbucks, they have been anti-Christian by denying certain things in Scripture. Have you heard stuff like this? Like, I heard, like, with the whole gay marriage controversy, they've taken a very strong stance on gay marriage being good, that homosexuality is fine, nothing wrong with it. I think that goes against Scripture. Someone raised an objection about that at some sort of shareholders meeting, and the CEO basically was like, if they don't want our stock, they should sell them. And it was basically like, and I was considering, like, should then Christians actually respond in such a manner? Like, what do you think about that? If you know a company is not Christian, supports things which the Bible says is detestable to the Lord, that is sinful, but the brass behind a company that probably gives, money to certain political figures and certain organizations which are liberal, or against what we hold as Christians from Scripture, should we then not give money to that organization? Should that play a hand at all? And that's one reason why I've kind of actually cringed more from Starbucks.
Right.
Just because I'm kind of like, what am I supporting overall?
Yeah, I can see where the struggle is. I guess in my mind where I draw the difference is at the point, if that's the stance you want to take, I guess I would just say good luck. Like, good luck finding all of the businesses you need to sustain your day-to-day life, from businesses that are run by CEOs and boards of whose political views and religious views and everything else they believe you align yourself with. If that's the case, I would just say good luck. And I think it's pretty safe to say you're not going to find too many of them that 100% you can say, oh yes, I ascribe to every single thing that this person believes.
Yeah.
And so I guess the point at which I personally draw the line, I guess, is like where it's capitalism. Like, maybe I'm not going to donate my money in the form of, like, I'm going to just support your nonprofit or send you a check in the mail to continue the work that you're doing if I don't really believe and agree with what you're doing. But if you're trying to support, if your business is to sell coffee and I can benefit from that exchange, then yeah, I'm probably going to continue supporting your business.
Yeah.
And I don't find myself having a moral, any moral dissonance in that decision.
Yeah.
Because it gets back to, well, yeah, I guess I could start making a list of every business that I'm not going to support because their CEO made some statement.
Right.
But, guess what? You're going to find yourself off of every social media site. You're going to find yourself, because every single one is, the CEO is going to come out as supporting this agenda or having, you're going to be able to find something that you don't agree with and maybe disagree with strongly. And so I guess I would just say good luck.
Yeah, and at the same time on that too, I know there are Christians that work at Starbucks.
Absolutely.
And I know there are Christians that do a lot of great things at Starbucks. There's actually a former student of mine is now back working at our high school. Now that she's graduated from college, she is only part-time here at the school, and she works at a Starbucks as well. Yeah. And she told me that they have their pastries and breads and things that they just pitch. And there's a guy that comes in every single day who they know is down on his times, I guess, essentially because of financial reasons. But he comes in every day, he gets a coffee, and he just sits in there until the store closes. And it's basically, I think, this is a warm, nice place, whatever. I can get my Wi-Fi and just sit here. Yeah. And he asks every day, hey, you throwing these away when you're done? So he waits essentially till the closing so he can get these pastries or sandwiches, which they're just going to throw away. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's fascinating. And so this one student then, now a colleague, she actually will collect these things and take them places. Mm-hmm. And what type of testimony does that give to, her coworkers? I know another guy that used to work at Starbucks. He would pray for people in the store that were customers while at work. They had a homeless guy, again, that would go there. And he has actually allowed that homeless person to come to his condo to shower and to get cleaned up. Mm-hmm. What type of testimony is that? Yeah. Now, that's not sharing the gospel, but I know my friend shares the gospel. He's definitely the boldest person I know when it comes to sharing the gospel with anyone. He's not afraid of losing his job for this stuff, ever. And so to me, it's just like, what disservice are we doing if we boycott, or if we go in and there's a Christian working there and we basically make them write Merry Christmas and what if they're like, I'm a Christian? Yeah. Or if their coworkers are forced to write Merry Christmas on a cup and it's like, oh yeah, sorry, it's just one of those, kind of jerkish, we're all sinners. Like, I mean, we make it harder for the Christians that are in that place.
Yeah. I mean, how much does all of this just totally cut against the spirit of Christmas, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go into your store and trick you into writing Merry Christmas on a cup because I think that proves some great point. Yeah. Really, dude? Like, that's the spirit in which that you wish to engender at this time of year? Like, like I said, to me, it's silly. The other interesting part about this whole fiasco is the narrative kind of became like, oh, Christians are so upset about this. And I was wondering, like, before we started talking about it a little bit before the show, like, am I just, like, not friends on social media with the right Christian people? Because I think I can honestly say I did not see every single post I saw about this was, this is so stupid. Yeah. Not a single post I saw was, oh my gosh, can you believe what Starbucks has done this year? Oh my gosh, this guy is so spot on. Like, we need to boycott them, or we need to go in and, join his little movement. Yeah. And so it was interesting to me, like, how much and I wonder if other people listening, if we get people to write in if they have, if they did see any of that. But I mean, it was just so much like how much of this was just spun to just be like, I guess the case would be that they're taking a very small minority. Yep. And using that as the portrayal, this extreme view, and using that as the portrayal of of
Christians as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I did not see a single selfie on social media either, in addition to not seeing this uproar. One that does bother me, though, just since we are talking about this a little bit, was Target. They bother me a lot more. One year at a local Target here in Southern California, I went and I wanted to get a nativity scene because I did not have one. I did not see one. I saw a Hanukkah aisle with Hanukkah stuff. I asked the worker there, hey, do you know if you have any nativity scenes? The person didn't even know what a nativity scene was. So going back to sharing the gospel, I could say, a nativity scene, it's the little statues that people put up in their homes to depict the Christmas narrative of Jesus' birth, where he came into the world, with the angels. And they're kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah, we don't have that. I was like, interesting. But you got the Hanukkah stuff?
Had they sold
There's
out?
more Jews here than people that may be buying a nativity scene? Are you serious? And the person's like, yeah, that's kind of odd. And then I started looking around. I didn't even see an angel. I didn't even see a star. So it was like even those that could be connected were gone. And this year, I went to a different Target, which was nearby. They had their Christmas section, clearly a Christmas section, and they had a huge banner over it called Holiday Shopping. And then they had another separate aisle, which was only for Hanukkah stuff. And on that one, it was not holiday shopping. It was Happy Hanukkah. So I just thought, again, like, to me, that's an inconsistency. If you're going to call a company out, to me, that seems a little bit more to call someone out. Clearly, this is Christmas material that you're selling. This is clearly Hanukkah stuff. Why say Hanukkah for one, but not Christmas for the other? That, I think, would be more calling someone out on law instead of gospel. Yeah. But I think there is a point to that to do. So I wish the guy went into a Target and was like, look at that. Look at that. What's up? Yeah. What do you think about that? Is that like anything to even get upset about? I kind of already hear your point with businesses can do what they want, but...
Right, yeah, I guess I had never really considered that, and I haven't heard that getting any attention as far as, is this did you just happen to go to the wrong Target, or is this actually an intentional choice that they're not selling this? Or personally speaking, I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
I'm not, if they don't wish to include that in their product offering, so be it. I will go on Amazon and find one, or whatever the case may be.
Which is what I did, and I got a Peanuts one.
Nice.
Thank you, Target.
But yeah, I guess I just get so bothered by, and I guess that is a little bit different in that it's, is Target really trying to make a statement by doing that, or is it more of like, well, we just don't sell a lot of nativity scenes, and we did offer those in years past, but then they ended up not selling, and so we had to make a business decision, since that is what we are. We are we are not a nonprofit. We are not. We are a business, and therefore we keep in stock the things that we need to sell in order to keep our business running.
Good for business.
Yeah. And so that's. I guess that would just kind of be my mindset of. Yeah. I don't see it as. I don't necessarily jump to the conclusion of, Target is trying to make a statement by doing this. Yeah, and it's the same conclusion that I come to with Starbucks of, okay, well they have their reasons, they have they want to, all of these things are thought through, and again, like reading this statement from this, it was intentional to have a red cup because we want people to embrace the simplicity of the holiday, or we want them to be able to tell their own story, or it just looks good.
And red and green, those are the two colors of Christmas, aren't they? I mean, at least that's more what I'm familiar with. I guess if you go with an Advent wreath, you get white candles and purple candles, and I think there's a pink candle too, right? Or it's different shades of purple. I guess I'm bad on that whole traditional color scheme, but yeah, for me, the bottom line is simply, if this was a bandwagon that you did jump on, I would encourage you to jump off of it. I think this just makes Christians look silly, period. I think it is not my barista's job to share the gospel of Jesus with me. Yeah. It is not my barista's job to tell the narrative of
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they wish to do that, fine. But I do not walk into a business and have these expectations that they will share the same beliefs and celebrate the same holidays that I do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we had another topic on traditions, but somehow we've killed almost 30 minutes just talking about a cup of coffee. So I may go ahead and just wrap up then. Maybe traditions with Christmas and how we can use those to share the gospel can be a topic for next year.
Sure.
Because I definitely want to do specials every year around holidays. Didn't do one for Thanksgiving this year, but would love to do more of this type stuff. I don't want to overkill you all. Maybe, I think probably 2 weeks from now, I'll release one the week of Christmas, which will be just some like Christmas messages that I've given in the past that have been recorded. So you can hear a Christmas message if you're on the road somewhere just from downloading this podcast. So if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing at iTunes or bookmark andyrasman.com. And there's an actual feed on there. I don't know the exact thing, but it's probably something /Reconnect podcast. But you can get the link on there for the Reconnect category, and that'll just be a feed just for the show. And lately I've not had time to write other blogs, so it's pretty much the blog now is just posting for this show, which suits me just fine. I've enjoyed doing it. It's easier to talk than write for the most part. And I look forward to any feedback and hope that you do have a blessed Christmas. If you're listening and if you somehow found this and you aren't a Christian, I hope you've enjoyed listening. I especially would like to hear from you to get your feedback. I do know a couple non-Christians that have listened. That's an audience I'd really like to hear from and see what you're thinking and what you're doing in response to the stuff that you've been hearing on the show. But other than that, God bless you all. I hope you have a good Christmas. Hope that this has got you into the mindset of sharing Christ during this time of the year. God bless you all.
Merry Christmas.
Your mission, if you choose to accept it, share this episode on all of your social media sites and with your email contacts, people who will benefit from listening to the show. Thank you for listening. Reconnect us, O Lord.